John. How's it going?
Hey, Eric. It is going well tonight. How are you?
I'm good.
Do I sound excited?
I still think we need an intro music.
Well, you're only 217 episodes in.
The intro music is, hey, John.
Hey, Eric.
How
you doing tonight?
That's the intro music.
That's fine. It is what it is, my friend.
Yeah. Just so my weekend
Yes.
was
How was your weekend?
Nothing exciting about my weekend other than I came to a realization that in a few months I'm going to be traveling way more than I thought I would be, right?
Okay.
So I have been traveling a lot just in general, but it's mostly been very long road trips, as we've discussed in the past.
Mm-hmm.
Now I have daughter number 1 who graduates from college in April, and her
Something you should be at.
Yeah, the whole family should go. She also has to move out of her apartment, but her post-graduation destination is still TBD. The current plan is bring all her stuff home and then, figure out where she's going to have a job or if she's going to start remote or, what we're going to do. We're still figuring that out.
Sure.
So there's a trip which is fly one direction and then drive her home the other direction. So not a full long distance round trip. And then daughter number 2, freshman in college, is coming home in May. So unfortunately, they're at two different universities. Exactly. They're at two different schools. So they don't end at the same time. One's a state school, one's a private. Anyways, and we were just at a wedding in Arizona early January for a niece. And now a nephew is getting married. So, and that'll be in May as well.
Oh my!
So yeah, it is going to be fly
just get an Airbnb in Arizona for a month.
That's right, and just stay there. And then, also in May, before we found out that the other nephew was getting married in May, we had tentatively planned for a Disneyland vacation because daughter number 1's graduating. Hey, daughter number 1, what do you want to do when you graduate? It's kind of like winning the Super Bowl. I want to go to Disneyland. So we have that temporarily planned.
Hopefully not the same weekend as the now wedding.
So the wedding was on a Saturday. We were planning on the Sunday to be at Disneyland. So, but, we will figure it out because that's still during school, and the boy will be the only one. He'll still be in high school, so it's like
right.
now.
All right,
the
son,
weekend has
we're
shifted.
just gonna stay at home, and then you stay home, go to school. We're gonna go to
Disneyland,
wedding and Disneyland, and you have fun.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't know what we'll see what it ends up, but it's these are. Aside from Disneyland, these are kind of non-negotiable travel requirements for the family. And if you, depending on who you talk to in my family, Disneyland is non-negotiable travel. So,
well, to paraphrase an old Chinese saying or something like that, may you live in flying times. I don't know.
I have not heard that one.
Well, I was trying to think trying times. These are trying times. I don't know.
You were getting punny on me.
Oh, happy Chinese New Year, though.
Happy Chinese New Year.
I'm not sure I'm entirely awake, so I guess I have to take responsibility for anything I say, but I'm not sure I want to do that.
Yeah, and now's when the dad jokes get good.
Exactly.
All right.
Well.
And it wasn't this weekend. It was 2 hours ago. I ran to the grocery store. Had to pick up some stuff. Ran to the grocery store, got my stuff, went through the checkout, got all my stuff, bagged up. The cashier asked me, "Do you want your receipt?" I'm like, "No, I don't have a ton of stuff. No big deal. I got a bag of stuff." And anyways, go out to my car. They eventually chased me out to the car, and they're like, "You need to come back in. You need your receipt." I'm like, "No, it's okay. I don't need a receipt." He's like, "No, we forgot to close out the ticket after your charge, and the lady behind you, all her stuff is on your card." I wouldn't have known because I just did Apple Pay.
Okay.
And I wouldn't have known because, I don't, it was like $50, whatever. I look at my Apple Pay, $178.
Oh my.
Well, for what I bought, it was not $178. I would know that tomatoes, avocados, and some, some Coke is not, some Coke Zero is not $178. Anyways,
so what did they do?
So they took me back in, and it was fine. I understand, they're understaffed. These are probably new people, but apparently it's not. Happens more often than not because the cashiers are new enough that they need to know that if the person says I don't need a receipt, they still have to print it out, because that's the required operation is to close it out before they start beeping all the food on the next chain. Anyways, so they had to find a manager. There was no manager available, and I'm standing there. They're really sorry. They get one guy, and he's like, well, they're trying to figure it out, and he's like, all right, I need your card so I can credit it back to the card. And I'm like, I did Apple Pay.
I didn't have a card.
Don't have a physical card. And then there was like, I don't know. Finally, someone says, oh, just beep your Apple Pay on the, just treat it like a card, on the return instead of swiping your card. Instead of them swiping the card, they just said, beep your Apple Pay on the terminal. Okay. I beeped my Apple Pay on the terminal. We'll see.
Maybe it worked.
Yeah. In Apple Pay, the credit card still shows the pending $178. It doesn't show the credit yet. Or it doesn't show an additional charge of the extra 120 or 30 some odd that I got. Anyways. So as we're sitting there, they were talking, we seem to be having this problem a lot lately. And I mentally attribute it to, because this is the corner grocery store that we've been going to for 20 years, right? So you get to know people there, especially, if you go regular times, they're all new people in there. Yeah. There's the cashiers. I don't recognize any of them.
Well, I don't think it was in that store, assuming it's the one that I think it is, but it was in another one of those stores that's, there was a lady up front, like with the clipboard and, you interested in a job? We have lots of openings here. If you're interested in a job, let me know.
I'm telling my boy, you could go and just say, hey, I'll work 3 hours a night, or even 2 hours a night, and just stock shelves. I would bet you they would pick you up in a heartbeat, because he's now 16. He just turned 16 last week. So he can now actually get, at least at this grocery store, get a job. Right. Some you can do younger, but most are at least 16 to 18. So I'm trying to convince him to go earn some money so that we can afford going to Disneyland.
I have one boy that's like, why would I want a job? I don't want to buy anything. And the other one that's like, so if I got a job, I could earn like $250 a week, and I could invest that. And if I invested that money at $250 a week, I would be, because I've got them both Robinhood accounts, and I've been trying to encourage that. But
right,
I'm like, you're right. If you start investing considerably at age 15,
that's right,
you will really appreciate it when you get to be your 50-year-old self.
Exactly. You can go to Disneyland Tokyo
anytime you want.
Yeah, that's right. Anyways, how was your weekend?
I have terrible news.
Oh no.
I was relatively devastated. Not relatively. I was devastated this weekend. So I went out I decided that I was going to go feed the bees just dry sugar. It was warm. It was like almost 50 degrees. I'm like, I should go put some dry sugar above the bees just, in case they start running low, they'll go up and like start munching on that. And I go out and I only have one colony left alive.
Oh no.
4 of my remaining 5 are dead.
Like for sure, or
for sure,
just
for
really
sure.
low activity?
I collected I collected all the hive boxes, and they're back in my shop.
Aww.
And I have to think that I killed them, like in doing that last mite treatment with the oxalic acid. It was the first time I'd ever done it, and I don't know. I mean, it came like the heater, the vaporizer, I guess you'd say, came with a micro spoon that said do one of these spoons per box, which is what I did. So I did I did like one of those, and a flat one. I didn't like do heaping.
Right.
I don't know. I don't know that I did it, but because they weren't seeming super strong, but I have to acknowledge that there's a good chance that I was responsible for that, given
It did get super cold. It got down to the 20s. Was it last week?
Yeah, it was cold.
It was really cold too. Well, that makes me sad.
And they were all looking like they, really small cluster of bees. I even saw one of the queens. I took a picture of one of the queens. And kind of heads in cells, which is what normally they say that's indicative that they starved, but they had resources. But, when it's really cold, the bees won't leave the cluster and can't leave the cluster to go even, a frame over.
Right.
So I don't know, but I'm super duper sad and kind of kicking myself. And I mean, I don't know. There's no way to really know, but that means I have lost so far. Who knows if that last one survives? I've lost 7 of my 8. Going into winter, I had 8. Or going, this fall, I had 8.
Something to build on in the spring.
I spent all summer building colonies. All summer. And I didn't even get much honey because I split them so much. So, I don't know.
Right.
My bee group, the Tualatin Valley Beekeepers Association, always does a nuke buy, a nucleus colony buy in the spring. So I'm sure I will spring for a couple more just so I have something.
Right.
So I don't know.
Well,
I don't know. And I did one other thing on here, which again, I'm like, is this the right thing to do? I just don't know. But I took and I had among the dead colonies, I had a full box of honey,
okay.
So I put it on top of my alive one. So hopefully they can continue.
Eat it?
Yeah. But the bad thing about that is that it puts an extra, 20 inches or 19 inches of space on top. And so if they don't move up into that box, then their warmth, their warmth will rise.
Heat rises.
So who knows? I didn't know if that was the right thing for me to do or not, but I didn't want to waste that honey, and I didn't think I could really collect it because I had done that mite treatment and stuff like that. So it is what it is. But I'm a sad, probably bad beekeeper. So we'll see. Anyway, that's my sad bee news.
Well, I feel bad for you, dude.
I have a single lonely hive box out there now, or colony. My whole hive stand where I had 8 different hives. Now there's just one, and then there was one. That's all that's left. So anyway.
Well, I don't know how we segue to topics from that.
Crying. It's all good. It's all good. I will raise more bees. I will be a better beekeeper this year than I was last.
There you go.
So enough about that. And so what'd you bring me for topics today?
So I don't know if you saw this. The Office of Management and Budget from the White House, U.S. government, they came out with a memorandum that sets forth a federal zero trust architecture strategy across all agencies. And this is interesting. So I pulled out a number of different things that it talks about in here. So this is now the U.S. federal government saying, hey, this is what all agencies, federal government agencies, need to start complying with. And some of the things are we've talked about before. And one of the things that you can pull away from this is if this is what the federal government is doing, you can bet this is what cybersecurity companies are going to start pushing customers to do, and what customers, especially bigger ones, are going to make sure that they are at least as good as or at par with the U.S. federal government. So here's some of the things that I pulled out of here, which I thought were interesting, is they're going to this zero trust architecture, and that means that no network can be considered trusted. And it's not like as long as my network is behind a firewall, I'm fine and everything. It's your network, no matter where it sits, is not trusted and shouldn't be considered trusted. And they say that all users must be able to log in or should log into applications rather than logging into the network. So instead of logging into my let's say I work for the Forest Service, instead of logging into the Forest Service network, I log into a specific application. And all enterprise applications should eventually be able to be used over the public internet. So that's a directive, right? That's
going to be a huge change for some agencies.
Yeah, that'll be interesting, especially certain agencies. I'm sure there are carves out for certain three-letter types of agencies. But anyway,
sure. But still, I mean, even things like, I don't know, Environmental Protection Agency or Housing and Urban Development or
that have a lot of, the IRS that State have Department. A lot of, public interfaces. Anyways, the other thing that it talks about is that they must have a process for coordinated disclosure of vulnerabilities by the general public. So not only do you need to do robust internal testing programs, the quote is, agencies should scrutinize their applications as our nation's adversaries do. This requires welcoming external partners and independent perspectives to evaluate real-world security of applications. So the U.S. government, for all applications, will have a process for vulnerability disclosure. Great. And then one of my favorites.
I guessed this. Yes.
Passwords and multi-factor. Agencies must use strong multi-factor authentication throughout their enterprise, and the multi-factor must be enforced at the application layer, not the network layer. So again, harkening back to the other one, is you log into an application, you apply the MFA to the application, not the network. And a phishing-resistant multi-factor authentication is required. Which,
AKA not SMS.
Yeah. Or, it does talk about it in more detail in a minute, but one of my favorite quotes here has specifically to do with passwords is, if you're going to use a password as one of the factors, password policies must not require use of special characters or regular rotation. Thank you.
For the regular rotation in particular, I guess. Yeah. I don't know about special characters. I guess so long, length
is more important than length is more important than force, because all you're doing by requiring special characters is you're expanding your
search space
required character set from 26 of the Latin characters to 10 additional or some number of additional. So computers don't know that it's an A. Computers know that it's a set of bits. So and it doesn't matter what those bits represent. And then it goes on. There's some more information about multi-factor authentication. It mentions that they should protect against some common methods for gaining unauthorized access, such as guessing weak passwords or reusing passwords from a data breach. Approaches to multi-factor will not protect against sophisticated phishing attacks, which can convincingly spoof official applications and involve dynamic interaction with users. Users can be fooled into providing one-time codes or responding to a security prompt that grants the attacker account access. These attacks can be fully automated and operate cheaply at significant scale. So they're basically saying, even if you're doing this, we're well aware that users can be socially engineered. Let's see.
See what else you have in here.
Yeah, the other quote I like in here is, if outdated password requirements lead agency staff to reuse passwords from their personal life, store passwords insecurely, or otherwise use weak passwords, adversaries will find it much easier to obtain authorized access to the account, even within a system that uses MFA. So that was just another backup on, hey, here's why we're changing some password stuff as well. And then the other big one in here is agencies must resolve DNS queries using encrypted DNS wherever it is technically supported. So not only encrypted DNS, but enforce HTTPS for all web and APIs, all traffic inside the environment. and outside. So and then it mentions, hey, we should be using DNS over HTTPS or DNS over TLS, and kind of goes that route. There's a bunch.
I sure wish that they would also require the use of the .gov domain.
Yeah. No, there was there was a note on preloading.gov websites, but I think that would be a good, I would agree. That's a big one too, is having agencies that have a .com or a non-standard domain.
Yeah.
For example, it irked me a little bit earlier. The IRS, I had to log into the IRS website to check my account for something coming into this tax season. And the IRS is now requiring you set up your account with ID.me. So there is an entire authentication system for, I don't know, it's not clear to me if it's a government run website or if it's a government contracted government or I'm not sure what the relationship is. But if you go to the irs.gov, pretty soon you'll no longer be able to log in with, if you had an account before, an irs.gov account, you're going to be required to switch to this ID.me authentication system. But I sidetracked there. Anyways, this was the article I thought was interesting. It's really a PDF on the whitehouse.gov website. That's running WordPress clearly because it's in the WP-content uploads. But
there's some poor intern at the White House whose responsibility is to like run the White House WordPress instance.
Yeah. So, anyways, I like this. It reiterates some important concepts around passwords, multi-factor, DNS, how you should treat networks. That was good to see in print, I think. Digital print, at least.
Yeah, that's awesome.
There you go. That's what caught my eye this week.
I love it. Especially the regular rotation, not even discouraged, not allowed.
Yeah, must not require. So there you go. Thank you.
What they should do is whenever it's exposed, it is immediately
right. Blocked. You force the user to change it if it's yeah. So there you go.
All right. Very nice. Okay, I have 2, or again maybe 1.5, because I didn't see much more about my first topic. I saw a tweet about this a couple of days ago, and then I went looking for and found an article. But the article doesn't have that much data in here yet, so I suspect this is more to come on this. But this is a major fuel supplier in Germany that got hit by ransomware. Was not I don't know. There were implications on Twitter that it was sponsored, but there was definitely not information in the actual. This wasn't a Reuters article. I read a Reuters article too. This is a BBC article that I'll put in the notes here, but it's TBD. They didn't even say what who the ransomware actors were, if it was known. But so this is a. It's ironic that the company's name is Oiltanking Deutschland GmbH and Company. So they store and transport oil, vehicle fuels, and other petroleum products for companies like Shell, who had said, at least in the other article I read, that Shell was like, yeah, we are still moving product, but using other suppliers at the moment. So oil tanking is not currently operational. This came out on Saturday, and they declared force majeure, or however you pronounce that, which basically means that the company is exempt from contractual obligations because of some event outside their control. I actually encountered that right at the beginning of COVID. We had for work at least, we had reservations for a big conference that we were planning, offsite basically, where we were going to bring a couple hundred people together, and March of 2020 put the kibosh on that.
Yeah.
and the money had already exchanged hands and all that stuff, but it was, that force majeure. So anyway, so the quote in here, all of Oiltanking's loading and unloading systems are paralyzed.
Ouch.
And the statement from the company was, we are working to solve this issue according to our contingency plans, as well as to understand the full scope of the incident. So more to come, I'm sure, as, the details come out, but, reminiscent of the Colonial Pipeline and the JBS ransomware incidents from last year. So, anyway, that was the first one. Just looking for more data on that, more details. So the second one is also about ransomware. So evidently, I am ransomware articling it tonight. This is a Wired article about messages that have been, what are they? I didn't pull this out. They didn't say that the messages had been released publicly, but the messages that Wired was able to see from the TrickBot group, the ransomware group, which the federal government, did a relatively clean. It wasn't really clean because it only stopped them temporarily. The U.S. government disrupted their infrastructure and command and control for a while. They are back, but so the interesting thing about this is the government, or whoever got these messages, clearly has a lot of chatter, like, instant message traffic, IRC type, or what they call it. They said they were using a Jabber server between members of the group. And, remember over the last couple of years, there have been a number of hospitals hit. Mm-hmm. Not accidental is what one of the things that came out of reviewing these messages. So, the not coincidental as in accidental, but the attack that happened at the time these messages were going through was against the Ridgeview Medical Center in Minnesota. It says 3 hospitals were attacked, and they had to redirect ambulances, other things. This was in October of 2020, and so here's one of the quotes, or a quote from the article. Just 2 days later, members of the TrickBot cybercrime group privately gloated over what easy targets hospitals and healthcare providers make. Quote, "You see how fast hospitals and centers reply." Mm-hmm. As target typed, so target is the code name for one of the operators. Members of TrickBot were in the middle of launching a huge wave of ransomware attacks against hospitals across the United States. Their aim to force hospitals busy responding to the surging COVID-19 pandemic to quickly pay ransoms. The series of attacks prompted urgent warnings from federal agencies, including the Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency and the FBI. F clinics in the USA this week, Target said, as they gave the instruction to start targeting a list of 428 hospitals. There's gonna be a panic. So I remember that warning. I don't remember if we talked about it on the podcast. I feel like we might have, but that was definitely deliberate. So the other comments in here is that that these messages were collected shortly before the U.S. Cyber Command disrupted the TrickBot infrastructure, but that since then it has regrouped and scaled up its operations, continues to target businesses around the world. Russia's Federal Security Service recently took down or at least arrested members of the REvil ransomware game, or REvil. I still don't know how that's actually pronounced. But TrickBot says it's, quote, so far been left relatively unscathed. So, and that's kind of one of one of the implications, I guess, in the article is that, and this is a much longer article, the things that I didn't pull out, but, there's a quote from, what's his name? Holden from Hold Security. But anyway, it says Holden 2 says he has seen evidence TrickBot is ramping up its operations, right? So they take out our evil. So TrickBot's like, hey, we can grow in and basically take over. So continuing here, quote, last year they invested more than $20 million into their infrastructure and growth of their organization, citing internal messages he has seen. Money spent on everything TrickBot does, staffing, technology, communications, development, extortion, all getting extra investment. So, part of what is talked about in the article is how, I was going to say professional they are, but in some ways, I mean, they have dev teams, they have QA teams, they have essentially the equivalent of product managers, they have reversers, they have, infrastructure.
They're a business.
It's a business, yeah, of some sort. So they are expanding, and so let's see. What's the last thing I pulled out? It says it's not like they're planning to close up shop. You expand in the hope of getting that money back in spades.
Right.
The move points to a future where after the takedown of our evil, the TrickBot group may become the primary Russia-linked cybercrime gang. So there you go.
Yeah, there's
interesting reading.
There's a Marvel movie forming around this somehow. What's the quote about the Hydra? Chop one head off, another comes in and fills its place. Yeah.
Although, so I don't know what you're reminding me though of. I think it's in the first Avengers movie when Black Widow is, handcuffed in the chair. Getting interrogated and gets the call, and she's like, I'm busy. Can't you tell I'm busy? He's giving me everything.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anyway, sorry, I don't know.
All right.
It's a great scene. All right, those are my topics for tonight. How about something fun?
So my something fun kind of came about. There was another SpaceX launch today.
Oh, I didn't notice.
And it was a Falcon 9 launched from California. And I'm not sure. I have yet to tire from watching the boosters return and land, on the platform. That I just still think. Anyway, so you can go to SpaceX.com and watch the launch. But while I was on SpaceX.com, I saw
10 times fast.
Yeah, I saw this thing called rideshare. Like, what is SpaceX rideshare? And apparently, you can go to rideshare.spacex.com, and if you want to put something up into orbit, either what is it, solar synchronous orbit, low Earth orbit, or polar orbit, you can click through, and they will tell you how much it will cost. So I said, I wonder how much would it cost to send me up? And so I picked, let's say if I want to go to, unfortunately, the only orbit available now is SSO, but I picked that. I said, all right, do I need a port adapter for whatever thing you go through? Do I need a 15-inch port or a 24-inch port? Well, I should probably get the 24-inch one because I'm big. And then you just kind of go through, it's like almost building a car. You check the boxes you want, and then you say, all right, here's what I would like to do, and you fill it out. So for $1.5 million, I could send, my weight, not me, because obviously I can't fit, but for something the size of me, I can pay SpaceX $1 million or so, and they will send it up into orbit for me, which, they have a whole website, click, click, click. Here's the available flights.
This is crazy.
I know. Here's your add-ons. Do you want us to provide insurance for you? Sure. Do you need to have electrical connectivity at the launch pad? Sure. Do you need us to load fuel on it before it? Sure. All this is extra money. You submit a deposit, you review your flight information, and then boom, there you go. I just thought this was funny. And this is... there you go. So SpaceX launched another Falcon 9 today, And if you want to send something up into orbit, you have choices. And if you've got $1 million burning a hole in your pocket, you can do that.
I wonder how many people have done that for ashes. Like if you're a multi-millionaire or something like that, you're like, send my ashes up to space.
That's right.
I don't know. This is hilarious. Yeah. Do you want the what do you call the undercoating for the car?
Yeah. Anyways, there you go. Rideshare.spacex.com if you want to send something up into orbit.
A 24-inch port starts at cool $1.5 million.
Yep. There you go. All right. There was. It's sort of fun, I suppose.
Okay.
Go for the video of the Falcon 9 and stay for the rideshare.
Okay. That's awesome. Okay.
All right.
So my something fun is a entire VM, a Debian. It says it's where's the quote? A unmodified Debian binaries in the browser. So they stream them. You can go to webvm.io and it will give you a shell. And this is all running in WebAssembly. And
of course it is.
When I saw this, I was like, wait, haven't we played with this before? And it was literally 100 episodes ago. In episode 117, I talked about one of my something fun was webassembly.sh, which basically gives some WebAssembly packages, special packages of Linux binaries, ported to WebAssembly. But this is even more webby, even more Linuxy, even more assembly.
So it's evidently not just run a browser on Linux, it's run Linux in a browser.
Yes. So I'm running Unix, running a browser, running Unix. Ooh, I wonder which links. It's slow. Yeah. It's very slow. Or at least actually I have, this is one of the things I was going to mention here is because I ran a couple of tests. I was like, they have a thing that says, run this Python code, run GCC to compile Hello World and run it. And so when I ran GCC, so I did a hard refresh of the browser. So I don't know if they're caching anything in local object store, to be fair, but it took 10 seconds to compile the Hello World the first time. I just ran time GCC -o, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
But then the subsequent times I ran it, it was still 7 seconds, 7.58 seconds. So, same order of magnitude. I was like, that seems like a long time. So then I went on just my Mac, brought up a shell, and I did the exact same thing. And I was shocked. It actually took 5 seconds to run GCC the first time. Because I was like, whoa, that should not take that long. But then after that, I did it, and it took 8/100ths of a second. So what would that be? I guess 80 microseconds, or 80 milliseconds. And that was super consistent. Like I ran it 86, 84, 82 milliseconds. So, which makes a lot more sense. It's not a complicated program. Literally printf hello world. But the GCC took the whole time. And now my which links didn't actually come up. So I wonder if is it timing out? Let me reload this and see, because it's been sitting here now for 40 minutes while we talk. All right, which links? Oh, it doesn't like which. Can I run KShell? No.
Well, I just tried GCC Hello World, and it took probably 20 plus seconds in Chrome.
Yeah,
but it worked.
I was wondering if I could run a.
You can run VI.
I can run VI. I did do that. No, I was hoping I could run a text browser inside.
Oh,
like if I could run links, then I would be running a browser inside a VM, inside a browser, inside a Unix box. Well, sorry, a Mac, but it's a Unix box. That's why Macs are cool. Anyway, so this is let's see, webvm.io is the actual place, but the link that I'll put in here for the something fun will actually be to an article on Medium about what's going on here. So, when you say the browser is the operating system, yeah, sure is. Sure is. It's not. A browser seems like a really dumb operating system to have, but that's the way things are converging.
The future is bright, blinding.
It is. That's the thing, is they've done such a good. This is where cross-platform has come to. Is really what it comes down to. I mean, people wanted Java, Eric. That's what they wanted.
No,
like platform independent code.
Yeah, how'd that work out?
Yeah.
All right, dude.
Actually, everything's JIT'd these days. Okay. Well, anyway, that's something fun. Check it out.
All right.
webvm.io.
I'm going to play it. I'm trying to apt install something and see what happens.
Well, who am I? I'm user.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There is no sudo. I tried. But
no.
I wonder if there's an SU. This is great podcast material right now. So.
All right.
All right, dude.
Have a good evening. I'll talk to you next week.
I'll see you, John.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.